My thoughts and prayers are definitely with all the women affected and the fans of the Browns, the female fans especially, who, probably, feel a type of way about it, and women in general. And it's an unfortunate situation. And, it's the NFL's never been a moral compass. We can just leave it at that. You don't look to the NFL for moral direction. They've always prioritized business over morals.
Today's guest, very special guest, is on-air host for Sports Illustrated. It is Ashley Nicole Moss. Ash,
What's
very
up?
nice to
Thanks
have you
for
on.
having me.
Of course. This is awesome because we met originally on Clubhouse. Geez, was it a few months ago when you started doing Tapped In Daily with Kaz on Clubhouse? So it's now like finally where I can see your face now and actually talk sports this way.
It's funny. That's the day and age that we live in with everything going so virtual. It's like when you meet someone face to face, you're like, oh, so that's what you look like. Okay, good to know. Cool.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you know what? It's just like because I got on Clubhouse originally for the networking side of it. I didn't really think I'd be talking like sports and stuff. I was like, I'm gonna just meet people in the industry, try to throw my name out there, we get a job here and there, whatever. And I've been on there for over a year and met some friends outside of it, but also I've met people like yourself and Kaz and Sean Brown and a bunch of other people throughout this cool little space we got here. But I want to hop in right off the bat with season 2 of Laces Out on Sports Illustrated. Is out on April 6th. You announced it today, which today is March 23rd. So if you're listening to us now, hopefully you were listening to it and you're like, all right, it's out now. So I'm going to go listen to it out right now. So season 1, you did that already. What is going to be different with this season? And I know Laces Out, for the people listening at home, it is sneaker, debate, culture, all mixed together with big time athletes and influencers hopping in and just discussing about their sport they play in, the culture of style and sneaker collecting. It also about life too.
Yeah, it's a little hybrid. It's a show of where I get to sit down and speak to some of the biggest names in sports, and we get to talk about, that in depth, but then also they have a direct correlation to sneaker culture, whether they're Jordan athletes, whether they're just like sneaker connoisseurs like a PJ Tucker, or they just launched their signature shoe. It's correlating and finding that line between the way sports and culture and, fashion and sneakers like all intersect. It's exciting because this season is going to be all feature based. So it's no longer going to feature the studio aspect. So I'm really excited because I get to see, athletes. I get the audience get to see athletes rather in their environment, wherever that environment may be, whether it's in the town that they play for, the town that they come from, a gym they frequent at, a restaurant that they like, their closet. We get to really see, who they are outside of what they do, and also get all the information and things that people want to know. It's going to be cool. My favorite thing about this job is just being able to sit and speak to people. So being able to do that is just, it's a blessing. I'm excited. It's going to be a really, really good season. We have an amazing guest for episode 1 for the season premiere. Very timely, very perfect. It was a great, great, great feature. So I can't wait for everyone to see it.
I've been following you on Twitter and also Instagram for a little while now, and I've got to know, of course you have the sports background, the hosting, the interviewing, but I've gotten to see your personality through what you wear and the shoes you wear, and also, but like the personality of how you talk to others, and it seems like people get to gravitate easier and maybe, we interview athletes and some people are very uncomfortable just talking in general, or they talk just too much and they hate the media BS. But it seems like for you, you can kind of get them opened up because of who you are, as you're professional, but you're also, to me, you're laid back and you want to get the other person comfortable. And that's how I act too. I tell if I'm interviewing that, I'm like, look, let your hair down. Let's just have a good time. I know
Right.
you're only here for 15 minutes. Let's make it a good 15, but with you get to bring your personality and clothes and culture and shoes and bring it to the screen with your guest. And I'm sure that has to be like a dream come true for you.
Yeah, one of the things when I started in my career was, and I think, you go through this when you first, enter this business. Everyone tells you, how you should be in order to be successful, right? It's like, you got to fit this box. You got to fit in this box. And if you step a foot outside of it, your career is ruined. And I think when you're young and you're impressionable and you're really trying to figure it out, you take that advice. And especially as, a woman, I think you take that even more. So you try to tone down the things that make you unique and the things that make you, different and special. And it's unfortunate because I've come to realize that it's not true. It's like the biggest tall tale in this industry is that in order to be successful, you have to be within the constraints of these like four walls of this box. And as I got older and I started, doing more things, I realized that my superpower is my authenticity. It is the fact that, when I report on sports, I'm not trying to do it in the most polished way. I'm not trying to do it in the most, buttoned up way. I like to talk about sports the way that like you would talk about sports with your homies. At the end of the day, like we're in the sports industry. We're not, solving the global climate crisis. We're not like working in politics. We talk about games. We talk about athletes. We talk about something fun. And yes, there are serious topics within the sports realm that need to go ahead and be addressed in a serious matter. But 9 times out of 10, it's something that's supposed to be fun. So why do we treat it like, we're working at Goldman Sachs and we're all like on the trading room floor? Like for me, I found that my authenticity and my laid back approach and the way that I dress and the more people are receptive to that, because that's more of a reflection of 99% of sports fans and not the other side of that.
Exactly. And we're seeing it overall, not just you or Kaz or me or whoever. We're seeing it in the sports media industry as a whole. It's nice to see where we're not always buttoned up anymore, where we're seeing people dress the way they want to dress. And it's not more of the suit and tie. And I think that's what also makes the guest relatable to the person they're talking to. And they're like, all right, this is cool. We're talking about Jordans and you're actually wearing them. It's not like you're wearing loafers. So, but when you are now bringing that to your other shows, you have Certified Buckets on Uninterrupted. You also are an SNY NBA contributor. And also you do have Tapped In. Now, Tapped In is a little different because it's only audio based. For the other two, are you still doing that same sort of style and personality? Do you bring in the same thing? Even with SNY, when it's a little more corporate in a way,
Right. No, I mean, with Certified Buckets, absolutely. I mean, it's uninterrupted. It's a brand for athletes by athletes. So it gives you the leeway to kind of be a lot more relaxed. Obviously, it's a player friendly podcast. So you're not going to go ahead and say some of the things that you see on NBA Twitter. But even with SNY, I mean, yeah, obviously I don't go there dressed in like Tim's and, a velour jumpsuit. But I will say, I've brought my authenticity to it. You'll hear me say things, slang words. You'll hear me say like quote unquote hood phrases. Like I'm not trying to be anything different than who I am. I think that there's a way to constantly evolve and get better and better yourself as a person, but better yourself as a person in a way that's authentic to who you are. I encourage everybody to just get better. I encourage everyone to be better versions of themselves every single. One of my favorite quotes is, when Kobe Bryant said, if I can just get 1% better every single day, then that was a good day. And that's how I view my life. That doesn't mean trying to be different. That just means trying to better yourself. So that's what I do. But I'm not going to go in there and just be like, CNN all of a sudden. That's just not going to happen. It's not going to work.
And I think what's important is for younger people going through this business is that like they might be off the jump. Like you even, said in the beginning here, we're taught early on, there's this script that you have to just kind of, and this avenue you have to take, and everyone does it and you have to do it that way. What's great is now people like you, they can look at you as a female in this industry and say, well, if she looks like this, she talks like this, and she goes about her way like this, then I can do that. And I think
And
that's
it's so
extremely
important
important.
for women. I
Right.
mean, it's important for men, but I think it's even
Very true.
more important for women because women are constantly told by society that who they are is just not good enough in one way, shape, or form. Your body type isn't good enough. Your face isn't pretty enough. You're not married at a certain age. You don't speak a certain, you don't come from a certain, there's just so, many things that constantly make you question if who you are is enough. That I love that we're in a space where we see so many different types
Mm.
of women authentically and unapologetically being themselves. And there's so many different role models for so many different types of people. My girl Monica McNutt is killing it, and you never see her be anything different. She comes through with hoops, red lipstick, thigh high boots. Like, Joy does her thing. Joy Taylor, I mean, I have so many people who like I'm able to call friends who
Taylor
just
Rooks is one that's huge too. Yeah.
right. My girl Liv Moods, with
Yeah.
FanDuel, she does her own TikTok, interpretation of bets, and the betting community may not like it, but you know what? People
Get
like
used
it.
to
So,
it.
it's I love the space that we're in for sure.
Well, going from a confident and successful person like yourself, your Knicks are not
Yeah.
so confident. We're going to get into a ton of NBA and NFL in the short amount of window we have. But before I go into that, I do want to say everyone go watch Laces Out on April 6th. A successful person like Ashley Nicole Moss, who joins me now. But her Knicks are not so successful. The
Not so
Knicks
hot.
are the 12th seed in the East. The odds of making the playoffs look slim. There's always a weird chance in sports where a team could heat up at the right time. But the way they're playing, and I work at WFAN, so I get to watch the Knicks almost every night. And I'm just seeing everything every single night. And it's the same thing, Ashley. And
Yeah.
we're talking on March 23rd. So last night they lost to the Hawks at MSG 117 to 111. And Trae Young has two home courts. Let's just say that. He owns Madison Square Garden. He owns the Knicks. 45 points last night.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts on this overall season. Where does Tom Thibodeau go from here? Does Julius Randle era ending after this season? What's going on with this team?
There's a lot to digest, right? I think first and foremost, I don't want them to make the playoffs. I think that making the playoffs would give a false idea of what this season has been, and the season has been a failure. You know what I mean? I think sometimes when you start, when you catch fire at the right moment and you go into the playoffs, then all of a sudden, if you don't go ahead and make a run in the playoffs, the justification is, oh, we made the playoffs. I don't want that justification. I want you to simmer in the fact that you did not do anything this season we're celebrating. I think Coach Thibodeau is, I know a lot of people are anti-Tibbs lately. I will say that I think, as someone who's been very critical of Tibbs this season, I think that he's still the coach for the Knicks. I think that he's the coach for the Knicks if he can go ahead and realize this is not, back in the day. The game has changed. The rules have changed, and the way you have to coach has changed. I think he has a lot of good things about him. I think the players
Yeah, I
are,
agree.
receptive to him. I think that he's a defensive powerhouse, and that's a reason why the Knicks were a defensive team last season. I think that he's a victim of his own stubbornness at times. I think he's a victim, of not rotating when he should, and not being creative in those rotations, and not managing player minutes the way that he should, and not substituting the way that he should. Those things can be corrected if you're receptive to going ahead and correcting them. That's the difference maker on whether or not he is going to be the coach of the future for the Knicks. If he does not want to change his ways, then the Knicks have to change their coach. If he's going to change his ways, I truly believe that he can be the coach that can take this team to the next level.
And we saw a year ago that they have the talent. And even this year,
Right.
we're seeing what I love about this Knicks team is there's so much young talent on this team. Mitchell Robinson being at the center spot is a beast when healthy. Barrett has had, I would say, and probably a lot of people would agree, total upgrade from last season to this season. I mean, he has been phenomenal at a lot of points this year. And then there's times where it's like we're looking at the rookie Barrett from years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Quickly and Topman are getting more minutes. Quickly is become one of my favorites because he's a baller. He's a guy who's going to hunt the ball down, good defensive guy. But I think this is where Tibbs falls in the right place where he has guys that he can coach, young guys. Randle is a guy who is a veteran, an all-star. You're big money maker. I mean, the guy's got $155,000 in fines this year. It's hard to deal
He's
with
a hothead. He's a little bit
a hothead.
But how do you,
but how does Tibbs deal with the young core guys that he knows will be the future of the Knicks? And Randle, a lot of Knicks fans do not like him this year because he's so sensitive. He is very inconsistent. I mean, we're talking about like 10 footers and he's missing them in crucial points of the game. It's aggravating for Knicks fans.
No, absolutely. And look, I've been a Randle advocate, if you will. I think, some of the criticism of him is not fair. I don't think he's the Knicks' sole problem, and I've never thought he was the Knicks' sole problem, and I stand by that. I think that the Knicks, have a lot of issues. They need a point guard. I think Tibbs is part of the issue. I think that, the team was constructed this season to get better, and the experiment didn't work. I don't think that all falls on Julius Randle. What does fall on him is his attitude. What does fall on him is that he is easily affected. And this has been a critique I've had of him even last season. He's easily affected by the surroundings of the game. And anyone who's ever played basketball at any level knows that there's a lot that can go wrong. It just is what it is. You're not going to get the calls always. You're not going to always, agree with things that happen on the court. But the difference between good players and great players are able to overcome that and block it out and take it to the next possession. You see that with RJ Barrett, which is one of the reasons why he's so impressive. RJ never gets too high or too low. He's very even keeled when it comes to the trials and tribulations of a game. He plays with passion. He plays with aggression, but you'll never see him arguing with a ref and allow that to go ahead and not allow him get to the other side of the court and affect the next possession. Julius is a victim of his own emotions sometimes. I mean, look, and that needs to go ahead and change.
Right. There's $50,000 in fines just for the media. One is 25 for cursing at a presser and 25 for not even talking. And we've seen that in a lot of New York sports teams over the years, I guess not as of recently with certain teams, but when you're playing in a major market, New York, Philly, Boston, LA, Chicago, in any sport, like you gotta just be able to take the hits. And we're seeing it from another trash team, the Lakers, and LeBron has to be like the old LeBron where he's playing with the Cavs and he has to do everything himself. I mean, he's averaging 30 points per game right now in a season. What does this Laker team do as a 9 seed right now? They're 10 games under 500. Russell Westbrook is talk about a sensitive guy. I mean, the guy is getting ripped apart by fans and also the media nonstop. So
but he's handling it well.
I do have to agree. He is handling it well, but he's
handling it well. And I also have to say, contrary to Julius Randle and that conversation, I think LeBron's handling it well, considering the fact that, this is a guy who's the highest of competitors, people.
But you even said it yourself. It's a guy who's a veteran that gets it.
He's a guy who's won multiple championships. He's a guy who has multiple gold medals. He's a guy who's going to be one of the GOATs when it's all said and done. And you hear him say things like, like when it's over, I can go play Madden at the crib. It kind of is what it is. It's that mentality that, yes, it may frustrate Laker fans, but you also have to kind of appreciate the fact that he's not allowing it to consume him. All he's doing is what he can do and what he can control. And that's how he plays. And he's playing great. It's unfortunate that the Lakers record doesn't showcase that. Garbage. But you have to give credit to LeBron has really grown up. Old LeBron might have been in those pressers, cussing out his teammates and, throwing shade. This LeBron just seems super content. I'm going to do what I can do, but it's not everything anymore. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I appreciate that. I feel like
I do too. And it's nice to see because we have we're so blessed to have so many young, unbelievable talents in the NBA. And LeBron has always been, even Kobe too, has guys that models of, what the game looks like, what the highest of highs look like as a player, but also how to handle the media. Like Derek Jeter was the gold standard of how to handle the media. There is legit. I mean, look, dude, there's courses there should be courses for players before they get into any professional team. You look at LeBron, Kobe, Jeter, how they handle the press.
I'd also put Russell Wilson in that conversation. Russell
That
Wilson's
too.
a master of the media.
It's
Like,
crazy. The way they spin negative questions and they make it into a
Russell
positive.
Wilson, the entire offseason, was telling the media to their face with a straight face, I love Seattle. I'm not leaving. No, Seattle's my home. Knowing damn well that man was not going to be in Seattle this next season.
I know.
It's impeccable. It's honestly impeccable.
I'm going to give two more very quick responses from you about two different topics. Then we'll get into the NFL and we'll wrap up here. MVP. Who's going to win it? Quick name here. Your opinion.
I gotta go Jokic.
Wow.
I do. I'm going Ja. Love Ja Morant, huge Ja fan, been a fan of him since he was at Murray State. I told everyone Ja Morant was going to be Ja Morant. But I think what harms him in the conversation is the Grizzlies can stay afloat without him for a substantial amount of time. I think that Jokic goes down, Embiid goes down, those teams go down with them. And I think Jokic, playing how he's playing with, a lot of his superstars out for a lot of the season is incredible. Same with Embiid. The fact that despite all the Ben Simmons drama before James Harden got there, he was a one-man band. It's between those two. It's one of their awards to lose. Absolutely.
And quickly, NBA Finals preview. This is like the early prediction. Ugh. But if you had to say from where we are at now, we have about 2.5 weeks before the regular season's over. If you had to pick two teams and then pick that winner for me, because I know a lot of NBA fans are going to want to hear what you have to say.
I'm going Phoenix Suns.
Okay.
Versus the Miami Heat. I have Heat.
What? Wow.
I'm going to say the series goes 7. I got Heat in 7.
Very interesting. So Jimmy Butler's got to have a little redemption after their loss against the Lakers in 2020.
It's funny because I really did not believe in Phoenix. Like, I believed in them, but I didn't believe in them to get back. They're
so good.
But they look so good. So good. And Miami, I think I never understood why people sleep on Miami so much. It's not like it's not a major market, but they fly under the radar every single year. But as someone who lives in Miami and has gone to a few of the games and knows some of the players, that is a well-oiled machine. And when it counts, it's going to count. That's a really good basketball team.
And the Western Conference has always been stacked. It's usually Eastern Conference is like 3 or 4 teams that are going to be consistently great. The Eastern Conference is very, very competitive now, which is the young Cavs team. You also have the Bulls who are, DeMar DeRozan's going to be getting MVP considerations as well.
For sure.
I do want to get into.
It's going to be Bucks and Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals battling it out though.
Yeah. I want to get into 2 final topics in the NFL. I have like 5 here, but I want to keep it at 2 because I know you got to go. Tyreek Hill today was just traded to not your team, but I know you were in Miami to the Dolphins. Yeah. I know you're a Cowboys fan, so we don't have to get into that. Okay. I'm a Giant fan. We'll get into it.
I don't even know who's on the Cowboys anymore at this point. I know. So much movement.
Half the team's
no idea.
So the Dolphins received Tyreek Hill, and they re-signed him to a 4-year extension with $120 million, $72.2 million guaranteed. And the Dolphins trade away combined 5 draft picks, 3 this year and 2 next year. I will give my quick opinion here. When they signed Juju, Chiefs signed Juju, I'm wondering, it's very tight over there. Where is everyone? Who's going to get the ball? There's so many people to get the ball. And we understand that Tyreek wants to get paid. Tyreek has a ring already. Tyreek has a Pro Bowl already, multiple ones. He wants the money now. So now he goes off and gets the money somewhere else. Dolphins are now all of a sudden looking like a nice, solid team now with Tyreek, Waddle, Gesicki. So they have a lot of offense even with Tua. But what is your opinion on this?
2 things. I know Patrick Mahomes is coming back from his honeymoon pissed off. Like, he's not a happy camper. Okay. Not a happy camper. First, you lose the honey badger. Now you lose Tyreek Hill. It's not a fun time to be Patrick Mahomes. Outside of being filthy rich, when it comes to football, he's not a happy camper. I think this is going to be incredible for Miami. Between him and Jalen, this is going to be the fastest wide receiver duo in the NFL. I think also it's going to be interesting because Miami is a really good football team. They started off rocky last season, but I think the testament to the coaching also, Brian Flores, absolutely big fan of his, to be able to go ahead and kind of get on the winning side of that and barely missing the playoffs says a lot. I think that this team on both ends of the ball is very talented. I think also it's going to put a new spotlight, a bigger spotlight, I should say, on Tua, because now you have all of these offensive weapons. If you still can't lead this team, then everyone who's defended you and everyone who's had questions about you, that is now going to be the topic. Like, you are not the guy. Look at what we've given you. When he first got there, you could make the argument, well, you didn't give him anything. What do you want him to do? Like, he's a rookie. There's nobody here.
So sitting him, starting him,
starting. Exactly. Yeah. And then you can make those excuses, but now I'm giving you a whole lot of talent, Tua. Let me see what you can do with it. And if you can't do something with it, you can expect some quarterback movement from the Miami Dolphins. They're not going to stick around much longer with Tua if he can't get it done.
So with one big acquisition to another, which are my final topic here before we wrap up, it is a sensitive topic as well. And you and I talked about this on Tapped In as well on Clubhouse, is the Deshawn Watson to the Browns. Deshaun Watson, we all know as of right now, has 22 civil cases against him for sexual assault. And he then went on to sign a 5-year, $230 million guaranteed contract with the Cleveland Browns, which means my boy Baker is on the street right now, but that's another conversation for another day. What are your thoughts when it comes to the Browns' morals in all this? I know at the end of the day, it's a business, but a lot of people, especially in the media, nowadays can have their own opinion set aside from just what the facts look like, where it's, it looks good for the Browns offensively, but morally, a lot of people are not happy with this. And as a female yourself in the business who are around athletes all the time, I know you're not happy about this either.
I mean, rightfully so, people feel a way about it. I think from a football standpoint, it makes sense, right? I don't think there are many young quarterbacks, more talented than him. He's an incredible athlete. He's a gifted quarterback. We've seen that through his short career so far. I mean, no one's questioning the talent. I think that, especially with the things that have come out about Baker, about them allegedly wanting a quote unquote adult quarterback, it's kind of hypocritical. And just, you look at the Browns sideways, you want an adult quarterback. Well, what's adult about this situation versus Baker being emotional? Like, I'd rather an emotional quarterback than a quarterback that's dealing with, 22 civil cases. And look, we don't know what happened. We don't know if it's true. We don't know if it's not true. Some people will say, well, there's smoke, there's fire. That, for the most part, tends to be an accurate statement. But again, we don't know. But optically, it does not look great. And I don't know if anyone was surprised that when the criminal, charges were dismissed, that teams were going to trade for him. I think everyone kind of knew that, but then to not only trade, but reward with the highest guaranteed money in NFL history takes this to another level. Like, it almost feels like the Browns sold their soul in a sense, right? And I'm not a Browns fan, so I don't have an emotional attachment to the team, but I can understand the optics, and I can understand why people feel a type of way about it. It's definitely a contradiction. You only can hope that with this, platform, this new beginning that he's been given, that he's able to reconstruct his image, whatever that looks like. Maybe, these civil cases are settled and he comes out and it's like, this was all a really, really terrible misunderstanding. And maybe it doesn't, but I can understand why optically it's not the best. And then the constructing of the base salary. So if he does get suspended, he's only missing $1 million. I mean, it looks icky. It looks sicky. The Browns look dirty, but so do the Falcons. So do the Panthers. So do the Saints. Let's not take them out of the conversation. They were willing to trade for him too. So, I'm all for giving people the benefit of the doubt. But I also, you can't turn a blind eye to, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. You know what I mean? So, that's only time will tell. And, my thoughts and prayers are definitely with all the women affected and the fans of the Browns, the female fans especially, who, probably, feel a type of way about it, and women in general. And it's an unfortunate situation. And, it's the NFL's never been a moral compass. We can just leave it at that. You don't look to the NFL for moral direction. They've always prioritized business over morals. So.
And that is a perfect way to end this, because that is 100% on the dot. Ashley, I appreciate you stopping by. Please plug everything, your social, the show, plug away. The floor is yours.
You guys can follow me at Ashley Nicole Moss on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you guys check all the stuff out going on there. I post everything to my socials. So if it's there, it's happening. And also Taylor joins us all the time on Tapped In Daily, 1:30 on Clubhouse weekdays. So make sure you come in, and we've had some interesting days on Clubhouse.
Yes, just recently we had a nice interesting convo. So
very interesting convo, some interesting days to say the least. So you definitely will be in for a good time if you come on through. So
Ashley, congratulations again. Thank you for coming on, and I definitely want you back on whenever you're free. So you're the open platform. Thank you very much. You have a good one.
You too.